Welcome back to Active Minds Podcast, where we seek to learn and explore through the experiences and perspectives of people that have paved their own lane. Today, we're going to have a little fun. We're going to try something a tad bit different. We're going to have three topics. And those three topics are going to be building your career in the digital space, tools of the trade, and last but not least, the future of work, which is actually what inspired this conversation. Of course, I have my co-host, Danny. And we have Carlitos Rivera. I'm kidding. It's Carlos Rivera. And the reason that I've invited you here to sit down with us, man, is you've carved out a space in a very saturated market, but you approached it in a different way. That's where the future of work comes into play. You saw, hey, this is what everyone else is doing. I can do it too, but I can also be their plug.
Yeah.
Am I reading that correctly? Because that's
Yeah.
kind of what it looks like on my end.
Pretty much.
Nice. So let's jump in right into it, man. You looked at Amazon and you saw what?
I looked at it and I saw a lot of potential. You know, it's the biggest marketplace in the world. The consumers on the platform, like on an everyday basis, is insane. It's like insane. Millions and millions upon the shoppers. And like every minute on the platform, there's millions of people buying stuff, selling stuff. It's, you know, it goes both ways. So I wanted to be on the, you know, I want to be the one selling stuff, not so much of a consumer, because I saw people 4 or 5 years ago starting these businesses, and you know that's when Amazon wasn't as regulated, it wasn't as like high, it wasn't as trending, and they were making shitloads of money just because the market wasn't saturated. So I saw a lot of opportunity at that time. Over years, it did get more saturated because everybody, you know, on Instagram is a Amazon marketer, Amazon influencer, Amazon.
Everyone's an influencer and an
entrepreneur.
entrepreneur.
So when I saw that, I was like, you know, there's a lot of potential. The profit wasn't good on a lot of products when it's like you know how people sell like general merchandise, like let's say sponges, Lysol, stuff like that. There wasn't really good money into that stuff. So what I sought to do in the beginning is go for not such a market that's like gray, but where there's a huge demand and not a lot of competition. So I started getting into selling like dietary supplements, vitamins, fish oils, stuff like that. And ever since then, once I got a taste of how well it performs on Amazon and how strong the demand is, I just focused on that, acquiring accounts, getting distributor accounts, working directly with the brand on selling their product line, basically. And it's a marketplace that's very hard to get into. Very hard to get into, especially when it comes to like stuff that you put in your body. Very hard.
True supplements.
Where did you order directly from the brands and then you resell it on Amazon?
Some of them I work directly with the brand, and some of them I work with big distributions of that company, because they're so big that they have big distribution companies that they go through for resale.
Okay, and what were you doing before this? How did you end up even in this line of work?
I was working like, honestly, I was like, when I started, I was like 19.
Okay.
I was working different types of jobs. I dropped out of college. I was different types of jobs, like odd jobs.
So you have a really good quitting story, don't you?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Because I started off with drop shipping, you know, from like eBay from Amazon onto eBay, and then I saw like the first couple of sales, and I was like, wow, I didn't do much to gain something out of it.
Yeah.
And after that just, you know, broadened my idea.
The less you work, the more you get paid.
Yeah.
That rubs people the wrong way sometimes. And you touched on something that's really cool, especially when it comes to creating your space in the digital space, e-commerce, etc. It's called TAM, Total Addressable Market. And that is something that a lot of folks will struggle with. In fact, the average company will pay thousands and thousands of dollars to find out. Now, your approach to finding the markets that serve you and that you serve as well, what does that process look like?
Well, it's really like, okay, so it goes back to the basics. Like everybody that teaches this type of, you know, career path, like selling on Amazon, doing that, it's general. How to use your software tools, how to read the charts correctly, and everything implies, like most of the people that advertise it, they're like, you know, name brand products like Lysol, Downy. Yes, that's the gist. That's what gets everybody in, because everybody knows those brands. Everybody wants to buy those brands. But really, it's doing your analytics a little differently. You know, most brands, and I say 80 to 90% of companies on Amazon do not want to work with you. You have to have some type of pitch. You have to have something special in order for these accounts to sell to you. You know what I mean? So it really is going through your catalog, going through potential products, and seeing like the analytic side is very easy. It's like you have to base it upon like numbers. Everything that I do is off numbers. If the numbers don't add up, I don't look into it. If there's no potential that I see going forward, I don't look into it. So it's really reading your charts correctly, it's analyzing correctly, and it's doing the best you could do to try to acquire these accounts.
So let's say this is a water bottle or a bottle of water. And that is a bottle of water.
Okay.
What would make you decide to sell one and not the other?
Performance, just numbers. I look at history. I look at data.
How do you look at this data?
So when you're doing Amazon FBA, there's a lot of software tools that you can download and have that show you numbers on revenue.
Is there one that's like super popular that everyone knows about?
I mean, Keepa is like the performance, the data performance of the product, how well it does over time, and that gives you an idea like, hey, this water bottle sold for $10 on Amazon for the last 3 months consistently, and maybe a day or two it dropped to $8. So you have kind of like an idea of how well it's gonna do. That's why I say like Amazon, for me, most people, and it's everywhere in the space. Oh, it's a risk. It's this. It's that. There's a risk to everything, right? But if you know what you're doing, the risks are very, very low. Very
Are you only
monetized.
selling through Amazon right now, or do you have your own platform as well?
I only sell on Amazon, and I sell to other Amazon companies. So
Okay.
I do, I'm Amazon based.
It's hard to blame you though. Right now, estimates have that 22% of all purchases by 2023, literally next year, will be online. Retail, by the way.
Yeah.
So 22% of every single purchase.
Yeah.
Of
Which I
everything.
struggle with as a woman and as a person, because I want to try things on, and I feel
Fair.
like great stores are becoming less and less and less available to us. It's so sad. They're all closing. Everything's becoming online, and it's like I like to go to a store and try things on.
Yeah.
So sorry to Amazon.
You're gonna be on the 80%. But even with that, like there's like this whole thing. Like one of the things that I immediately was getting into is like building a career for yourself online. Like you're a stylist.
Yeah.
So a lot of your clients, like you just said before, like there are some clients that she'll talk to in the morning, like right as they're getting dressed. Imagine getting ready and like you have like a star stylist. They're like, yo, that looks good on you. Nah, maybe you should change this. Maybe you should try that.
It just builds morale.
Yeah, but that's that right there. There's a lot of people that would love to be able to do that as a job. And I think the internet provides that, not only that opportunity,
Right.
but makes it like almost like a cakewalk.
Well, I think it's also about getting
creative.
creative with it, right? And I think that that's what the internet provides us, like a way to like start our own businesses, be young entrepreneurs, because it gives us the platform that we can do whatever we want. We can decide that I'm gonna, have a job with talking to people in the morning and gassing them up before they go to work. Like who said that you could do that?
What do you do? I gas
Zoom
people
did.
up.
Yeah.
So it's awesome that you were able to find a niche in the market by doing that. And what kind of products would you say to stay away from when selling on Amazon?
Big products, things that are like breakable in
Okay.
transit, things that can be returned easily. I'd say like, what is
Like
toys?
mirrors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mirrors, toys, stuff like that. Stuff that can break in TVs. Even that they're high ticket items, yes, they'll make some money, but you have to consider how many returns you're gonna get, how many TVs will break in transit, and shipping to the shipping costs are high for anything.
That's true.
big.
There's a buddy of mine that does pool tables. Like
Wow.
foosball tables and pool tables,
Yeah.
and his
Wow.
profits are insane.
Yeah, they're insane.
On average, is about 60 to 65% per
Wow.
purchase.
Yeah, that's
But
But
really
those
good.
break a lot.
It's
that's
really
why
good.
it's funny when he
Yeah.
said that, because like he has had that issue. Like he'll make the money, or like every now and every once a blue moon he'll have a return.
If it
Fuck.
evens out and you're more positive
Yeah.
than negative, then it works. But I'd say there's a lot, especially like in toys and stuff like that. They're always breaking. People are always getting returns for the kids don't like it, so that's like high in
Who
returns.
deals with all the complaints or whatever? The Amazon. Or
What we do is we have a team of VAs, that manage our account health, that do our spreadsheets, that update everything daily, that find us inventory, more profitable inventory to source every day. So it's really building it up to a point where it can just be systematic. Once you have it, once you have the funding, you have the right resource, you know, you have the right people around in your team that know what they're doing as well, it makes everything so easy. So I have like 7 to 9 VAs right now. So they handle my spreadsheets, they update catalogs, they email distribution companies for me. Wow. They do everything, you know.
A team. Let me ask you something, if you don't mind me asking. How old are you?
I'm 23.
You're 23. It's amazing to see, you know, how many young entrepreneurs are just like killing it, you know?
Hell yeah.
What's something that not a lot of people know about you?
What's something? I don't know. I feel like off social media, everybody just like sees me so outgoing, so like, you know. But I'm very. I feel like I can do both. You know, I like being by myself, and I like being in the mix because I know, you know, being in the mix sometimes it's helpful. True. It's healthy, you know, networking, getting yourself out there, getting yourself more exposure, and that's why I was so open to come out here because, you know, I don't do this as much. This is my third podcast interview, so I was like, you know, I need to keep doing it, keep being consistent with it, and I've always been like that. I never have a set plan. I just kind of go with the flow, see where things go, and everything's worked out in that way. You know, it's weird to say, but I've never had any type of structure. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying on Amazon. Going back to that, everybody that preaches this, and even the bigger sellers that I've met, I've been to all the conferences, I've met the bigger sellers on it. I met all of them. You know, they all have their own ways, but I realized out of like just frustration sometimes when I was younger, it's like, this does not work with me. This doesn't work for me because I'm not at scale with like them. I have to find things that work for me, do it a little different, and you know, overall that's paved the way for me to even be here. So,
fascinating.
You touched on something, and we spoke about it actually before we started filming. I was going to go into like, you know, the digital business card, but you touched on the funding side, like having the right funding, and something that many in your social circle tend to come to you with questions on is finances and credit. Very, very important to scaling. I mean, let's call it what it is. You can start for free, but it takes the funding to scale. What are, the most common mistakes that you keep noticing when it comes to how people approach finances? And more importantly, what are some options that exist today for people to actually start like pivoting themselves in the right direction?
On going to how they don't see. Wait, say that again. Sorry.
Yeah, of course. So like right now, when it comes to the funding and financing, a lot of folks will get trapped in the whole like idea of I need to have the money, I need to have this, right? But then there's the outlier that's like, I don't have the money, but I got skills. Let's go. So they get started, but they're gonna make the very common money mistakes. What are some of the most common mistakes that you notice keep happening with like people who are getting started?
I say like when it comes to this type of business, first and foremost is not having like the right accounting softwares. Like, you know, you need to know at the end of the day how much Amazon takes, how much you net, how much you gross, everything. I'd say like not being attentive towards that. Most people, and I have like, you know, I work with various people, and you know, I see it because there's selective people that are new to this. There's people that have been doing this for a year or two, and then there's the big ones. You know, everybody does things differently, and what I see is like, you know, people that are more scaled, they're more disciplined to even if they're the ones making the most money on the platform, or you know, being able to profit the most, they're very disciplined by like pennies on what they're making, what they're not making, what fees they're paying. And I feel like it's inexperience. In the beginning, anything starting new, you don't have the experience, therefore you don't have the discipline to be attentive towards that. So I say really not being disciplined, to know what you have in your bank account, to know what's going in and out, and knowing what type of fees you're paying. You know, just like anything, there's hidden fees for everything. You know what I mean? Like there's always a catch. You know,
exactly.
Amazon loses this. Their whole let's say you send in like 500 units to Amazon to sell to make a profit. They'll probably lose like 10 of those units, and then you sell through, and then you never notice. So it's not being attentive, not being disciplined, and just really not. I don't know how to word it, but it's really just not paying close attention. not being attentive.
What was the moment that everything like took off for you, that you were able to hire out and now have a team?
It did take some time, but I'd say when, you know, the cash flow was up to par to where we wanted it, and we said, okay, you know, hiring 4 or 5 people, it's an expense, but it's an inexpense for us. Like, it helps us grow further.
Didn't you start by yourself? Or
I have partners.
Okay.
Yeah, I have 2 partners. One of them I've been with for 4 years, and another one joined the team like 2 years ago. Okay. And we've been able to, you know, build the FBA side and build the distribution side together. And like I say, like most people do this alone, but it's easier to do it with a team. And you can grow it to a scale that, you know, you reach what the potential of this could be. Because most people are like, oh, I can only be stuck selling on Amazon. I can only do this, or I can only grow to a scale. But really, it's, you know, once you're in something, you really got to learn it, and you really got to learn the ins and out, what you can do, what you can't do. And like I said, most people start services for this, and it does tremendous. You know, it equals to whatever they're making on their business, on their actual business side, and you do both. You know,
would you eventually want to start some sort of a school or something to show people how to do this, or do you want to keep it for yourself?
There's a lot of people out there that are big in the space that have already done it, so you know it would be challenging to recreate that. But I'd say on an educational side, like on a base, I would like to do that, like have some type of you know, schooling for it. Not necessarily me being the teacher, but me being like the face for it, and having people that I trust in my team, you know, teaching, making videos, or even being live with it. So I think that would be pretty cool. It'd be very helpful. I feel like low-key I've helped out a lot of people, like hundreds of people. Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing with me, I don't run any ads, any marketing. Everything is really organic, and it's all based in the DM. Literally everything comes from Instagram. I met clients there that, you know, like, hey, I have $100,000 for inventory. Can you fulfill that? Yes, I can.
What does fulfilling that look like?
Getting them inventory, you know, equivalent to 100K that they're going to be able to generate revenue, they're going to be able to profit from, and do it. Our supply chain is so strong because we've been building it for 4 years, mm-hmm. that, you know, it's an abundance, millions and millions upon millions of dollars worth of inventory that, you know, in a reasonable and a realistic standpoint, I'm not going to buy it all, mm-hmm. because first, huge risk. There's risk involved. There's time involved. There's, you know, so if I'm not going to buy it all, but I have access to it, why not help other people grow their companies and make money? So
that's fascinating.
When it comes to setting up your digital presence or whatever, you touched on a few items right there. And, you know, so if you're watching this and you're going to consider either leapfrogging your career or maybe even getting into doing your own space, think of the internet or your profile as like your business card. So definitely focusing on, as he just broke down, we'll break it down into 3 sections. And those 3 sections is going to be, what have you done, what are you building, and what can you do for other people? And he just broke it down in his words. Mm-hmm. For you, what that would look like is, again, just what have you done, what are you building, and what can you do for other people? And the good thing is that that's basically how you're going to introduce yourself. That is also what you're going to put in your bio, or even your LinkedIn bio. When it comes to that, like you always have a call to action when you meet somebody. Like, oh, hi, my name is Carlos. I do blank, blank, blank. I do this. I've been building this. Here's what I could do for you. What is your typical call to action when someone meets you? Like,
really just being myself. You know, I feel like my clientele, you know, it's so strong it's so strong in our relationships, because I feel like I have a personal relationship with all these people that do, mm-hmm. spend money with me. You know, if anything goes wrong on their stores, my team helps them. If they need any type of documentation, my team does that for them. It's not just like, oh, you're going to buy from me, and then it's, you know, I make my money, I expect you to come the next month. You know, I believe in having good customer service, because I had to get to the point where, you know, I'm not just behind the computer, and I'm not just making money, or we're not just making money for our company. Now we're actually helping people do the same thing. So, you know, I take it serious. You know, I have a Telegram, over 200 people in there. I get calls, DMs, texts every single day, existing client, potential new clients. And, you know, I feel like my role on an everyday basis is really talking to these people. You know, I call them, even if it's our first transaction. We've never done business together. They'll buy $25,000 worth of inventory. They're excited for it. Once the process is done, because it gets shipped to my warehouse, it gets fulfilled for them. It gets packaged, labeled, and sent out to their stores for them. I'll hit them up like a week later and be like, hey, how's it going? How's the inventory moving? How's it performing? Do you need any, advice? Is there anything I could do for you?
Mm-hmm.
It's really keeping a strong relationship, and, overall that's more satisfying than the money, I believe, because it's really what people look at you as,
Mm-hmm.
and what is how far you're going to go.
I think that's so
it's
important.
perspective is
Yeah.
everything.
It's so important. I agree. Like in any business, to follow up with your client or whoever
Yeah.
you're working with and checking in how it's going. This is how you grow. This is how you're able to see what you're lacking, how the product is doing, what products aren't moving, what's moving, and this is how you become successful.
Yeah.
So what is an example of sometime or one time that you really failed, and like you failed someone? Have you ever failed someone? How did you deal with that? How did you turn it around?
Have I ever failed someone? I'd say yes, I have. Basically, it's some stuff that is uncontrollable. Let's say, like, we have a listing. Usually listings that we get, like products that we sell to other people, it's listings that we used to sell on, or we've tested ourselves to make sure it's safe. Sometimes we do the analytics and we have sold the products ourselves. And let's say a client really likes the performance, they'll see the data on my store and they're like, wow, like this is really good. I'm like, yeah, we're no longer selling it, we're distributing now to clients. They sell it, and for some reason that brand, that company changes their regulations, changes their rules, they get stricter on Amazon, so they'll come after my client like, deactivate this listing or we're going to sue you. By the way, they never sue. Everybody that is watching this, they never sue. They send those letters to everybody. Nobody get freaked out about that. But we always get letters of like cease and desist letters, stop selling, blah, blah, we're going to sue. They never do it though. But yeah, like, I've had clients get their listings taken down, and it's our role to try to get that listing back up. Even though it's on Amazon side, it's not controllable. Any documentation that they're going to need, any type of POA, any type of, script that they're going to need to submit to Amazon to reappeal it and get back on the listing, we do that for them. And we make sure that they are always taken care of. So I've never had a client that, gets a listing taken down, or they get blocked or anything like that I haven't helped and we haven't got back on the listing. So I feel like even if unfortunately sometimes that happens, the client really sees that you're there for them and you're willing to help them through the process, and you're there all the way. So it's not like they're doing it alone. They're not going through it alone. Mm-hmm. And I tell everybody, I've done it for years. It happens. My accounts has complaints. My accounts has this, because it's at scale. If you're selling, 60, 50 different items, you're doing multiple six figures in revenue, there's bound for bad stuff to happen. It's part of the game. And most people are so unused to it because, like I said, it's inexperience.
Right. It's
inexperience. They're not for me, I could have Amazon email, your account's going to get shut down. You're at risk for this. I'm just like, it's not going to shut down.
So you deal with stress well.
Yeah, very well. I feel like, very well. I feel like that's a key component on why I'm still in the space, why I'm still doing this, because I did have my losses,
There's a lot of moving parts that you're dealing with.
It's a lot of moving parts, and like I said, it's experience. Like being inexperienced 3 years ago led me to lose thousands and thousands and make poor buying decisions. I remember one time I went all in on one product that worked well for me. First, it was like $12K in investment up front, and it did really well. 50% margins, moved very well on Amazon. And then, you know what? I'm gonna up the ante. $51,000. It was a $51,000 order. My listings got taken down. It was a hectic time. But overall, that taught me a lot. Not to be more analytical, to know what you're getting yourself into, and to really test things out more before you go full swing with stuff. But I was able to overcome it. It was some hurdles to it, but I was able to overcome that, and I feel like that's the biggest part of me. Like, I never give up. Yeah. I'm always very consistent at everything that I do, and I never tell myself ever that I can't do something. I'm always very affirmative within myself that I have the ability to do anything that I put my mind to.
Whoa, wait. If you're watching this and enjoying it, press pause for a second. Go to activemindsclub.com. Again, activemindsclub.com.
Here you will have membership access to our exclusive networking events, as well as behind-the-scene access to our guests where you yourself can ask them questions.
Not to mention, at these events and in the community, you're going to have access to the very mentors that are here sitting with us, as well as many, many more that are doing cool things in stocks, marketing, cars, real estate, where we're going to have you have access to education, insights, how-tos, all things that you can apply to your life and business. Personal brand and corporate brand is something that a lot of people kind of struggle with in the beginning. Like, do I put my face on it? Do I not put my face on it? You, in your scenario, you do have your face on a lot of what you do.
Yeah.
What have you noticed comes with putting your face on your brand and what you work on?
I mean, it comes with a lot. I feel like, you're not going to be able to please everybody. And you're not going to always have the clients that are willing to work with you like you're willing to work with them. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, it's good and bad, but overall it's better. It's more good than bad. I feel like I really don't care for people's opinions. I really don't care what I see online, because I feel like a lot of people that I've met, a lot of influencers, a lot of this and that, they're not really fully credible when you really do meet them in person, and they really don't do what they say they do. And I feel like with me, I don't do any marketing. I don't do any advertising. I don't have a huge following on Instagram, but the people that do stick with me and work with me, they see it's real. That's why business is good. You don't, like I say, you don't need thousands and thousands of followers to actually make money to do this. No. You just need a strong clientele base that are willing to invest in you and your company every month, keeping a good relationship, and you can make millions of dollars doing that.
So when it comes to building your business and brand, personal, it might sound scary. It does to a lot of people. But as Carlos is pointing out, it does pay off in spades because, for example, you are all about e-commerce, FBA, all this other good stuff. So people know what to come to you for, number one. Number two, the fact that you're putting your face on it, the personality, that personal brand is so important. I mean, I keep going on and on and on how corporate brands they're here, but they're not going to last. And most importantly, the fact that you have that approach is probably why, not probably, actually, it is why, you have the loyal customers, the loyal following.
Right.
And a lot of people, again, they struggle with it. I understand why, but it's totally worth doing, because once you have that thing you never shut up about at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m., and you just keep going on and on and on about that, and you're sharing your journey, for example,
right,
and you back up your work and you put your face on it, dude, that shit pays off in spades. Because now you're not only reliable, but people see, oh, like, this guy's about his shit, basically.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say how it is.
And to add on that, I think that in this podcast, we're seeing a lot of the same common denominators of people that are authentic, they stay in their lane, they go full force on it, and these are the people that are successful, the people that are vulnerable, the people that are not scared of failures, the people that do their due diligence and their research, and that's really...
It's always funny when somebody's like, how do I, like, I don't know if you've heard it or you've heard it, like, there's always, like, sometimes there'll be, like, somebody asking about authenticity, like, oh, I want to be more authentic, like, how? Like, that, the fact that you're asking that, you already failed. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You already fucked up, Chief.
Yeah.
When it comes to how you post, or at least what you share, what's your approach look like?
Mine's really, like, my approach has always been kind of like what I do on a regular, if it's work, if it's lifestyle, and how I live, how I do things. And, most people, I get it with the lifestyle, has a lot of, like, bad feedback, because most people, like, say they do this or they'll be doing this, but they're really not credible in that aspect. So flexers, basically. But I feel like, I post a lot of, like, business content and lifestyle content, but I feel like with everything that I post, I'm very assertive on it, and I know I'm not scared to post anything, just because, like, it's real. Like, I can back everything up with numbers, and I tell everybody this is my saying to everybody: people lie, numbers don't. So I'm really not afraid to post anything. I'm very, like, myself. If it's this, if it's that, like, I don't care to post it. I don't really care for people's opinions.
I think in a world of social media and internet, and where mom and pops are becoming a dime a dozen, it's so important to be authentic, like we're saying, and have something different that you're bringing to the table. Not be afraid to be yourself. Put yourself out there, even if it's scary, and just see where that goes. You're gonna attract the people that really you're supposed to have in your life. at the end of the day. Because if you're trying to be somebody else, that you're going to attract people that are not really supposed to be part of your tribe or your market or what you're trying to sell. So at the end of the day, you really have nothing to lose by being yourself.
One of the cool things is you get to benefit, like, from your experience. Your experience is I can put up what the fuck I want. It is what it is. And if you were to look at how you were to apply this for yourself, it would be, what are you good at that has a market that you're genuinely interested in, basically. So, like, for example, Carlos is good at distribution, markets, and basically looking for these gaps that Amazon leaves. That has a market. It has a market because right now a lot of people are getting into the FBA and Amazon seller space, and that he genuinely enjoys constantly. That's where he comes into play with. He can never shut up about it. He's always looking at, you know, the trends, the software, the analytics of it, etc. So again, for you, what that looks like is, if you want to enjoy this, it's what are you good at that has a market that you genuinely enjoy doing. Now let's get into the tools of the trade part, man. I love SaaS. I love all this other good stuff. So when it comes to, I know you mentioned one already. If we were starting from complete scratch, right? If we were to take, like, Fiji, for example, and we're going to start a brand or a store, what is the very first thing that you would advise her to do day one?
I would advise her to have all the resource that she needs to make the transition as feasible and as easy as possible, because you always want to go into something, especially if it's big, you never want to necessarily want to start from scratch. You already want to have first a fundamental idea on what you need to do and how you're going to do it. You know, I feel like everybody needs to have a clear vision in order to achieve what they need to achieve. I feel like if you're foggy or if you're unsure, you've got questions about it, you're never really going to get there just because you're not assertive first on yourself and your ability. So I would say having the right resource, you know, whether that be funding, whether that be people, I would say have the right resource and actually know what you're going to get yourself into. Be knowledgeable, you know, don't just freestyle and don't hop on trends just because you think if it works for that person, it'll work for me. I would always say this because everybody that I've met, even more experienced sellers, have been selling on the platform for years, you know, and have more experience, have more numbers, you know, they all do things differently and in their own way, you know, and like in our way, it's very explosive. It's very different, you know. So I would really say having the right people, having the right credentials, having the right resource. If you're starting from scratch, just know what you're going to get yourself into before fully doing it, you know, because you have to know what you're doing before you do it.
True.
So what kind of products don't do well? Like, definitely, you said the bigger ones, but what are the ones that you really feel like people should stay away from because they have a lot of issues internally, besides what you said about breaking, but because there's a lot of companies that will come back at you or stuff like that, that point of it?
Believe it or not, I would say makeup. Like beauty okay. products on Amazon, high in return. Okay. High in return. Returning. Yeah, people returning and people don't like the product. Beauty. Yeah, beauty supplies. Never expected that. It does well on Amazon, don't get me wrong, but it's a high return rate. Wow. There's a lot of issues when it comes to beauty, all types of beauty products. I'm not just talking about makeup. Also, like perfumes and colognes, a lot of them get flagged for being unauthentic, or even if they're authentic, you know, the brand or somebody will file that it's fake against you, get you off the listing. So there's a lot of problem selling stuff like that, especially on the like personal care side. So like beauty supplies, perfumes, cologne, makeup, it's areas that I stay away from, and that's because I've personally had bad experiences with it. So I'm just like, never do it again. Traumatized. Yeah, and the products that, you know, as seen on TV, the ones that become very popular, like on TikTok or like, like the infomercials, stuff like that. Stay away from that stuff. Okay, you heard of that? Makeup, stay away.
As seen on TV, perfume. And what about somebody who's trying to start, has a brand, for example? Do you recommend them selling them through Amazon? Would that be easier than starting their own e-commerce website?
I would say doing it, probably personal brand, like if you're marketing your own. You could do it on Amazon. It's called private label. You know, you get patent for everything. You get copyrights for everything. just like you're doing it on Shopify. But if it was up to me, feasibly, I'd probably do it on Shopify.
Really?
Yeah, because you know, private label is a whole different game.
It's
Is
not
it a
things that people
control?
are just searching for,
Yeah,
right?
it's a whole different game.
Oh, so it's a
Yeah.
control thing and a traffic thing. Is what I
Yeah,
heard.
and but it's the thing, like, you know, you just like Shopify, you have to build up, you know, your product, whatever you're creating, on Amazon. Just like FBA and doing wholesale, like mine is all organic. I don't run any ads. People just buy it. You know, if I know it's gonna sell and I have the numbers to back it, you know, I'm assertive that it's gonna sell. I don't need to run ads or sponsors or anything for it. So I'd
makes
definitely say, you know, you could go either route. No, there's nothing bad with it. You're gonna have to build both of them up either way.
Yeah.
So I just say like Amazon is more like, you know, you have to pay them. You're going through their platform as opposed to creating your own website. You know,
Yeah,
I
they're
feel like when
technically
it
your lead gen.
yeah, I feel like when it's creating your own stuff, you know, you would want to have your own platform. Like me personally, I would want to have my own platform.
So when you're looking at this and you're kind of in Carlos's shoes, you want to look at something called unit economics. And if we're saying it in a different way, it's basically the cost of acquisition, the cost of doing business, one. Number two, when you're on a platform like Amazon, what you're technically paying for in fees is lead generation, lead gen. The cost of acquisition obviously will change, as in his example with Shopify, because the lead gen and traffic is completely reliant on you, as that is just your storefront. Whereas with Amazon, you get the storefront and the traffic that goes with it, which is why you have to go into the whole SEO game. So very similar, just the cost of doing business is in there, like earnings before interest, taxes, debts, etc. That's just another conversation. And with that, excuse me, when it comes to how you're approaching this, I'm pretty sure you've seen stores that have come in, had a big splash, and then fizzle out. You don't
Yeah.
have to name names.
Definitely.
But why would you say is the biggest few reasons that the ones that came in, made a big splash, have fizzled out now?
I feel like most of them were just on a trend. They were just riding a trend.
Waves,
They
yeah.
didn't really like approach it as a way to build longevity. They approached it as a way to just gain and profit very fast and make money, but they didn't structure it to a point where this could be sustainable for years and years to come. So I feel like it's just structure. It's just what you want out of it, you know. Structure.
This relates to all aspects of life, fashion as well, timeless things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you go for the trendy thing, you'll be on trend for a bit, but it'll
It'll
phase
die
out.
down, yeah.
So one of the things to derive from what Carlos is saying is total addressable market. I know we talked about it before, but the beginning stage, or even if you're already starting and you want to look at pivoting or scaling, etc., is you want to have three pillars: people, capital, and code. So people, teamwork, your VAs, your team members, your employees, your partners, etc. Capital is dry powder or cash, which is another way to say that. Access to credit, access to funding, bootstrapping, which we covered before, seller financing, something to consider as well. And then code is just another way of saying SaaS, software as a service, technology. And a lot of companies out there deliver a lot of the stuff that you're looking for. For example, Amazon has a bunch of analytics tools, as well as Shopify has actually a really nice, robust fucking app market that you can look at for tools. That also
Just grab
always
Shopify like a woman.
really cool. But also on top of that, if you look at WordPress actually has a really nice plugin market as well that you can look at that has other alternatives. For example, recently we were looking at a food business, fast casual, and we found a POS system called Toast.
Okay.
And we had tried like 4 or 5 different ones, but that one worked and it met all the criteria. So when you're looking at what you're going to need, is you're going to need to look at what your criteria is. So for example, in Carlos's situation, he's going to have distribution in there. He's going to have communication in there. He's going to need access for his teams. These are all qualifications that you're going to want to look for in the SaaS. Again, SaaS. Sierra Alpha Alpha Sierra. SaaS, it's software as a service. That's going to be able to give you the leverage that you need to execute a lot faster, a lot bigger. We kind of like catching what you're talking about so far? Just want to make sure that we're following along.
For sure.
Awesome. I know that obviously you have your business, and I know you have your business. What is something right now that you see from his industry that might apply to yours?
Well, as I mentioned when he said about the finding something that's timeless and looking at the analytics. So I think with anything, it's really hard and for some people to find the gap in the market and see what's going to work. So for me, that's something common. Yeah.
Now I'm going to challenge you on this one. What's something from the fashion industry that you feel could benefit what you do?
Fashion industry. That would benefit what I do.
Yeah. Something you could learn
From
from the industry, from the space that you feel you could learn from and apply to what you do.
I would say just having a good eye for what works and what
Yeah.
doesn't work. You know, I feel like that applies fundamentally with almost every business, but especially in fashion, you know, you have to see what works, what doesn't work, and it's you know, you have to see it for yourself. And I'm sure, you know, she has her grasp on what she does, and you know, she sees stuff like how I see stuff in my business. It's very like clear cut on what will work, what won't work, you know.
True.
And it's based off experience, it's based off your expertise and what you do.
So really, we're not all that different.
Yeah.
No, not. Everything rhymes.
Yeah.
The key to
Everything
success is, you know, being authentic. The keys, some of the keys. Being
Some.
authentic, following up with your customer, whatever it is, being vulnerable, not being afraid of your failures, and staying in your lane.
Don't give up. Like I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
don't
just
give
don't
up.
give up.
Yes.
That's
Like
the wrong answer.
yeah.
As we begin to wrap up, if you're watching, listening, taking notes, want to rewind, here are some of the finer points of what we just went through. Number one, you want a good business card. And in this situation, for what he does and what you do, even if they're seeming like worlds apart, it's exact same shit. It's your business card, it's your bio, it's your spiel, as we say back in New York. It's what you introduce yourself as. What are you good at? What are you building? What can you do for people? That's your business card. Number two is going to be what you talk about / good conversation. If you have no charisma, fake it. If you got good charisma, leverage it. In his scenario, he's talking about I can be an introvert, I can be an extrovert. I can work a room, I can shut the fuck up, be at home and watch Netflix and chill. That all is just normal. And when it comes to what you're going to either post about or basically do online, think about something that you can never shut up about. So, as I ask every single guest that walks in here, what are the top 2 to 3 things that your friends, colleagues, and general people in your sphere keep coming to you for advice on? That is where you start to see where your expertise comes in. Easy enough, yeah? And then from there, you never shut up about it. Number 2, you start building momentum on that. So the way that he looked at building momentum was, I'm doing amazing in Amazon space. I'm looking at the analytics. I'm noticing that everyone is doing the same thing. So he went from not only being the store, but being the plug, distribution in this regard. So for you, it's the exact same thing. So if you're good at one thing and you keep doing it better, every third customer, you increase your price. And then after a while, you get to actually become more of a wholesale solution. And last but not least, something you're doing right now, because you're helping these people, you're checking with them, is be a champion for your industry or your space. Obviously, you're going to focus on a space first, then before you do anything else. You're going to be the champion for that. So basically, you're going to be the industry's champion, cheerleader, best friend, everything you can, so that way, for example, in Carlos' situation is he's not saying, oh, I'm the king of Amazon. He's saying, I love e-commerce. I want to help people do e-commerce better. That's why I'm agnostic. I love Amazon, but Shopify might be the best solution for this. In your career, in your business, it's going to be the exact same thing. Focus on your space, not what you do. Focus on your space. And then that way you're going to be able to be brought into new rooms, bigger rooms, better rooms. How are we doing so far? Are we kind of like catching everything you're giving us?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great interview, good environment.
Now, as we wrap up, man, want to give you a chance to celebrate something about yourself. In the last 12 months, what is something you've either achieved or been a part of that you're beyond proud of, maybe even grateful for?
I feel like overall just growth. You know, I feel like this year definitely, we're in September now, has been like the most explosive, the most like the biggest learning curve, the most growing year that I've had like ever up to this point. But I feel like, you know, giving myself credibility, which I don't a lot, which I should. I never give myself credibility for anything. You know, I'm glad I started at 19 and now I'm 23 and I'm like, wow, like I'm miles ahead of where I thought I was going to be at 23. You know, I had no clue at 19. I had no vision. I had no clear understanding. But, you know, the more you do things, the more you keep being consistent at what you do, you really do attract the things that you want in life. You attract it all.
True.
You attract everything from you know, from the materialistic to the people that you want in your life to the car, everything. You know, you attract it all just by being consistent, just by being yourself, and just, you know, having just like having that, you know, that desire in your heart, that fire in your heart that won't ever let you stop. And with me, I was based off a lot of circumstances, how I grew up, how I was raised, how my upbringing was. So, you know, that all channeled me into being like, you know, I want a different life, and I'm gonna work for it, and I'm not going to stop until I achieve it, you know. And I feel like at 23 years old, you know, most people are like, you're so young, and like me, I feel like I'm 30, you know, in the head, and experience and whatever the losses, the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations. I feel like, you know, I'm more of age than 23, but I do give my self like a thanks for that.
It's good that you're going now while you have the energy, and because then when you're older, you're running off of fumes. Like, you've heard the phrase ever, la juventud es corta, pero la vejez es larga.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it now while you can.
Also, I think another important thing to outline is the momentum. Don't lose the momentum. Don't become complacent. Don't get comfortable. Keep going.
Yeah, complacency kills.
Yeah.
Complacency kills.
That's one thing I've learned too. Even on our highest months, you know, it's like the most, and like to anybody my age and my business partners' age, because they're really young too, they'll be like, wow, like we just, wow, you know. But it's just like, you know, after that's done, or even in motion on being able to do that, I'm still worried about the next. I'm like,
what is
next
one
month,
of the top
next
months
month
look like? What does that look like right now these days?
Well, one of our highest was last month. We did close to $1 million in revenue through wholesale and distribution. So my personal store, my Amazon store, did over 700,000. We did close to like $250,000 just distribution, and this month it's kind of like evened out, you know, half and half on distribution and wholesale. So it's really like keeping momentum going, but not necessarily always having to do the same things to have that same current.
Do you have a similar goal for, because we're going into Q4 now, end of the year, right? Is there going to be what is the plan for
my
Q1,
mindset is really just more. As simple as that sounds, it's really more. I'll hire more employees, delegate more tasks, find more funding, get more just put everything in play, and it will be more. Because
so
fundamentally,
you hit $3 million a month then.
Oh, maybe. Let's see. I don't doubt it.
Yeah. All right. Well, you already know, man. I'm telling you, you're coming right back. You get that $3 million. You can text me. I don't care if it's 3 a.m.
I got you.
We're
I'll
booking your flight. We'll bring you right the fuck back. All right, dude. Sure. Well, Carlos, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. I know that you've got a lot going on. So I obviously hope that y'all enjoy Miami.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
I love Miami.
Don't get arrested.
It's cool. No.
Don't get arrested. Please don't get arrested. It's really easy to get arrested.
I really want to know what you do on the weekends.
I
sleep. I read.
Yeah,
you know, I drink wine.
Miami's a vibe, bro. Definitely would move out here. Definitely would. Yeah, definitely.
From Houston to here?
Definitely. I would have a place here. Definitely. I already thought about it. I already, you know.
Well, we'd love to have you as a neighbor, man. That'd be awesome.
For sure.
As we wrap, I want to thank you as well and challenge you. A lot of stuff that we're talking about here is stuff that you can do. And if you're doing it, let us know. We're on Active Minds. This is the Active Minds podcast, of course, but on Instagram, it's Active Minds. Let us know what your journey looks like. Let us know where you fucked up or you've tripped. Happy to talk about that with you, as well as your questions, because we'll be asking the guests those questions as well. Danny, thank you so much for joining us today. Carlos, thank you so much for joining us today. I want to give a huge thanks to Hands Free Automation and Vegan Gummies for being a supporter, long-time supporter now, and keeping this machine running. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. Hug your haters. And fuck the fear. It's a lot of fun, really, when you let go. What's a mantra you live by, man?
What's a what?
What's a mantra, like a saying that you live by?
I think he said it. Don't give up, no?
I mean, that's principally one of them. You want another one?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
Shit.
You're signing us off.
Work hard, play hard. I believe that. Work
All
hard,
right,
play
in
hard. Miami.
Sol, Playa y Arena.
Bienvenido.
This has been Active Minds Podcast. I've been Catriel C. Sarfati. I could say the rest of the intro, but I'm going to end on this one. Remember, move smarter together. See you in the next time.
So, guys, as we're wrapping up, we want to remind you that we have our membership program now available. on activemindsclub.com.
ActiveMindsClub.com. Grab yourself a seat. See you there.